Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm finally going to film my January, February makeup recap. That's okay. My January/February makeup recap. So in this video I'm basically just going to go through all of the makeup that I've tried in January and February. So this was over like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 different videos that I put up. Probably most of them I put up in March because I'm still very behind in editing. I feel like I'm starting to catch up. Like I've got 2 more March videos to put up, I think. It's the 1st of April when I'm filming this, so yeah, this is a bit late, but I figured better late than never. So the point of this video is just to kind of go through all of the makeup products I tried and give you any updated thoughts and updated opinions on them, because obviously a first impression is only a first impression, you know. This is just to give you information about how the products have kind of like, how my opinions have changed or stayed the same over the long period that I've used them, because I mean, some of these makeup products I tried at the beginning of January and it's now the beginning of April, so that is 3 months for some of these products. So I'm just going to put like cards up here of the cluster of videos that I am taking these products from. So obviously there was January's first impressions, March's first impressions, did a full face of testing Kiko makeup, tested some new NYX makeup, I also tested new 2 Primark foundations. So I think that was 5 videos altogether. It's kind of like a faves and rejects sort of video. Yeah, it's basically kind of like a monthly favourites, but over 2 months. So what I'm going to do from the future is, so if there is a month where I've tried like a lot of makeup, so for example in March, I tried like a lot of makeup, so probably like more than the amount I tried in January, February combined. So I would do that as a monthly one, but if it's like, if I only kind of tried like, you know, 1 first impression's worth of makeup, then I'll do it like over 2 months. So for like April and May, I think I'm going to do that one over 2 months. Yeah, I've got some crazy makeup going on here. I just really wanted to play around. I was feeling inspired. I don't know if anyone in the UK has been watching Glow Up recently. It's like a reality show about makeup artists, and I've just gotten really inspired by that show, and I just been wanting to play around more with things. So just going to go through it through like makeup categories. So I'll start with foundation, and I tried 5 foundations in total in January and February. Okay, so I'll start by talking about my favourite foundation that I tried, and I would give that one to the Kiko Full Coverage 2-in-1 foundation and concealer, which looks like this. It's the one that's got a giant doe foot on it, which I do enjoy the giant doe foot thing. Not for everyone, but I do enjoy it. This one is in the light shade, which I think is Warm Rose, I think is the shade. Their shade range isn't great. Like, I don't remember off the top of my head. I feel like maybe like 10 or 12 shades they had, so could be a lot better, definitely. And the light shade is too dark for me. Surprise, surprise. What I tend to do with this is just kind of, you know, coat it all over my face, and then I'll either go in with like a white concealer or a white foundation mixer, and I'll just like kind of blob it all around, and then it kind of just all meshes together when I blend it in with my sponge. So obviously the colour is not a huge issue. I have ways to obviously work around it to make it match my skin tone. I have actually got the Kiko foundation on today. I've got all of the makeup products that I tried in January and February on my face today. Well, obviously not all of them because there was a lot from different categories, but I mean, the makeup look today is from one of those videos. This is my favourite out of the ones I tried because first of all it has the best coverage. It's like a really nice level of coverage. I'd say it's a very high medium coverage, maybe low full if you wanted to sit there and build it up for a while, but really nice level of coverage. It's probably my preference, the coverage of this. It's like my coverage preference. It's not too oily, it's not too matte, it's kind of that nice sort of semi-matte balance, which I like. It also lasts the best out of these 5 foundations. I have found better wearing foundations than this one. My all-time favourites for the best wearing foundations is the W7 Matte Made in Heaven and the Singing in the Rain. I'd give both those a 9 out of 10 for wear. This one I think I'd give like a 7.5, maybe an 8 for wear. It lasts pretty well. I'd put it along the lines of like the Maybelline Superstay or the MAC Studio Fix foundation, so it is really good wear, but I mean I have found slightly better wearing ones than this sort of formula, but it holds up pretty well. It definitely, you know, doesn't disintegrate much. It does, you know, sit in the texture a little bit after a while, like all foundations do on my skin. The finish is really nice. I would say it does sit in my texture a little bit, but I literally find that this is impossible to avoid for my skin. The best finish I've ever found for a foundation, actually, really random one, is the Barry M foundation stick, which, I mean, it doesn't have very good coverage. It's like a kind of low medium, high low coverage, and it's not got the best wear, but there's something about the finish of that foundation that doesn't accentuate my texture too much. So it is possible to find, but very rare to find something that doesn't sit in my texture. It's just kind of my skin. But the finish is pretty nice. Not perfect, but it's pretty nice. I definitely would recommend giving this foundation a go. It is a really nice foundation. I think if you like foundations like the Maybelline Superstay, the MAC Studio Fix, I think if you like those sorts of foundations, then you would really like this one as well. So in the middle, I'd put the two Primark foundations that I tried. So we'll put a little card up there for that video where I tested out two Primark foundations. So the first one's the My Perfect Colour Velvet Finish Foundation, which is in the shade Porcelain. That is what it looks like there, and that one's £6. And then I also got the double coverage matte foundation in Porcelain as well. That one was £5. That's what it looks like there. Colour matches are pretty good for these ones. Like, I don't really feel like I need a white mixer with them, which is pretty good because I'm very pale and that can often be a struggle. My thing with these is, I said this in the review, they're so similar. Like, I don't really notice. Like, obviously I've tried them out a few times throughout the month and I really like tried to look and see what the difference was, but I couldn't really find anything noticeably different about these foundations. They last pretty well. I think the Kiko one lasts a little bit better than this, and the Kiko has a little bit better coverage as well, but these have a pretty, you know, decent solid medium coverage, and the wear is pretty good. I think I'd give them like a 7 out of 10 for wear. These aren't like my new favourite foundations or anything, but I think that they're worth trying for sure. But I don't really have anything new to say about these since that video went up. I feel like my opinions is pretty much the same. They're nice foundations, but they're not the sort of ones that I'm gonna, you know, gravitate towards like too often. These last two foundations, I don't just like these foundations, but I say they're my least favourite of the bunch. So I've got the Body Shop Fresh Nude Foundation in Chelsea Porcelain 010, which looks like this. And then I've also got the Essence Insta Perfect Liquid Makeup in the shade number 10, which looks like this. And I tried this one in my February first impressions and this one in my March first impression. I think if I had to pick one out of the two, I'd probably say I prefer the Essence one. The Essence one is very like kind of BB cream like, which I do occasionally like that sort of formula. These are both quite light coverage foundations. They're kind of like a low medium, I guess I'd say. You know, if you're gonna sit there and build them, I'd say you could get it to like a low medium sort of coverage. So the Essence one, the shade of this is actually slightly lighter than my skin tone, which is hard for me to find, so that's a nice bonus of this foundation. I feel like I do like this for more kind of light coverage days. It's pretty nice. It doesn't last the best. It doesn't look terrible at the end of the day, but it's definitely not one of the best wearing foundations out there. It looks pretty nice in the skin. I feel like as I use this throughout the month, there were some days where it looked quite nice and there were other days where I felt like it didn't look so nice. I don't know if it's just because my skin, you know, goes through lots of phases. Just kind of inconsistent the way this one looked on my skin. I wouldn't say it accentuates my texture too badly or anything. The finish is quite nice and natural, you know. It's quite like it's not super dewy, but it's definitely not matte by any means. Like, it's a more kind of dewy foundation, I'd say. Body Shop one is definitely really dewy. It's definitely got that kind of radiant look to it. Again, the coverage isn't great on this one, and I also feel like this also didn't wear the best on my skin. I did feel like there was a lot of kind of breakage and a lot of separation, especially on my forehead. I get it quite bad. So I wouldn't say that either of these are particularly great wearing foundations, and they're both just very natural. I feel like I have very similar thoughts on both of these. I don't know how long I'd keep both of these in my collection, if I'm honest. They're just not my favourite. Like, they're absolutely not bad at all, and I feel like maybe certain people could get along with these, but I definitely prefer the other three foundations of the ones I've tried in January and February. So concealer now. I tried 4 different concealers, so I'll just do this the same way. I'll start by talking about my favourite concealer, and that would be the Jouer Essential High Coverage Concealer in the shade Lace. I have one issue with this concealer, and that is that it is slightly too dark for me, which is just so upsetting. There is one shade lighter in this, but it's described as having pink undertones. Like, I'm kind of tempted to try it out anyway, because there are a lot of things that describe themselves as having pink undertones, and then I've bought them and been like, it's not really that pink. I'd say it's more neutral. So I think when I do run out of this one, because eventually I do want to buy this again because I really like it, I've wanted to try that light shade. I think it's called Snow or something. So yeah, the one issue I have with this is the colour, but everything else about this concealer I absolutely love. It has amazing coverage, just so good. One of the best coverage concealers that I've found, definitely. What I also love about this is that it looks so like smooth and kind of buttery and almost like blurred out on the skin, and I find like a lot of concealers that have really good coverage tend to look quite crepey and heavy, but this one looks quite smooth and buttery. I mean, if you put too much of this on, it can look a bit heavy, but I mean, you only need like a swipe like that. And sometimes I will put like a little bit of a lighter concealer over the top of it just because of that colour issue. So smooth looking, it's just kind of foolproof really. Definitely would recommend this. It's got a pretty good shade range, I think, so I definitely would recommend getting this. I also like that it's, even though it's a high-end product, it's not super expensive. I think it's £15, which, I mean, obviously that's a little bit more expensive than a drugstore product, although there are a lot of really pricey drugstore concealers right now. For sure that L'Oreal one is like £10. So it's really not that much more expensive than your kind of higher end of the drugstore. So for a high-end product, it is quite affordable. So that's another thing I really like about it. But yeah, I definitely would recommend trying this out. Really nice concealer. Right, so next I'll talk about the NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop concealer. And I have like some mixed thoughts on this because I kind of do like it, but then I have like a few kind of minor issues with it. So I've got the shade Fair, and then I also have one in the shade Pale, but I have no idea where it's gone. Pale is a little bit too light for me, but works really well to like highlight under my eyes. I also do use that pale shade to mix with my Jouer one because then it makes like a really good colour. And then Fair isn't really that much deeper than the pale shade, to be honest, but I use this on the kind of other parts of my face. I don't really like this concealer on its own, like, because sometimes I will use concealers all over my face. I don't really like it for that because I do feel like it accentuates dryness, which I know a lot of people have this issue with this concealer as well as the NYX foundation, is the dryness of it. They're definitely like matte products, definitely. And I do find that it just looks a bit weird when I just have it on my bare skin. But I do really like how they look over the top of foundation because I find that most foundations tend to be like oily in formula. I don't know if that's just me, but I've found that like the vast majority of foundations I try are either semi-matte or oily, and I have no issues with how it looks over the top of foundations like that. The only one I probably wouldn't use it over the top of is the NYX foundation because that one is quite matte. But yeah, over the top of foundation I actually really like it. I don't feel like it accentuates any dryness or looks weird or heavy or crepey over the top of foundation, but on its own there's just something that I don't like about it. So yeah, I wouldn't wear it that way, but I mean, it has a really nice coverage. It's not as good as the Jouer coverage, but it's like a quite high medium coverage, I'd say. So it is a nice concealer, but again, I just don't think that people with dry skin would get along with this, but I personally like it. Don't like to use it on a bare face. The other two that I've got is, first of all, the Kiko Skin Tone Concealer in 02, which is a good shade match, and the Essence Camouflage Concealer in 10 Light Rose, which is also a pretty good shade match. They're both just quite like warm tone, pale shades. Can't really brighten with either of them. They're more just the same colour as my skin though. These are like decent concealers, but I just feel like the other two, the NYX and the Jouer ones, have better coverage than these. I'd say of the two, the Essence one has the best coverage. The Kiko one it's not amazing coverage. Like, it's definitely like, it definitely does something. Like, I would say it's kind of like a medium sort of coverage concealer, but I just wouldn't rush out to buy this, to be honest. It's just quite average. Doesn't excite me at all, really. And it's so diddy. Like, why is it so diddy? I mean, there are a lot of Kiko products I really like, but this, I mean, it's not bad. It's just, don't know if I really want to keep it. Also, the doe foot on this, I don't know if it's just mine, but it arrived kind of damaged. It kind of spins around, so it's kind of awkward to apply because the doe foot's not glued on properly. But I would definitely recommend the foundation over the concealer from Kiko. And the Essence one, like, again, like, it's okay. It's a nice concealer, but it's just not like super high coverage. Blends in really nicely. It looks quite nice on the skin. Nothing wrong with the finish of it, but it's just a bit average, really. That's how I describe it. So I would say go for the NYX or the Jouer ones out of these concealers. Anyway, let's move on to powders. So if I'm being honest, Not really found any great powders this month. The best out of a not so great bunch, I would say, is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop powder foundation. And in my review of this, it wasn't really a review, it's like a first impressions, I feel like I kind of made it out to be a bit better than it was. I mean, I didn't really say that it was like amazing or anything. In fact, I kind of said a lot that I needed to use it some more before I could give a full opinion, and that's what we're doing today. So I got it in the shade Pale, which at first I thought it looked really light, and I don't know, I feel like I wasn't looking at it properly. Actually, I know what it was. It's because I was comparing it to the two other powders that I got, which are too dark, so I feel like in comparison it made it seem a bit lighter than it actually was. But again, I don't feel like it is like my perfect shade. I do feel like it is still a little bit deeper than my actual skin tone, which, I mean, I'm still struggling to find my perfect powder shade, but you know, this is definitely a step in the right direction. I don't really like how this looks under the eyes. I feel like it's the same sort of thing with the concealer, in that it's quite like a drying sort of formula. I don't really like how this one sits under the eyes. To be fair, I don't like how a lot of powders sit under the eyes, but I actually quite like it kind of to set the outer perimeters of my face, which is what I've used today. I used the other powder that I'm going to mention in a minute under my eyes, but I had some issues with that. And then I used this one around the rest of my face, which, to be fair, actually I quite like it around the outer perimeters of my face. Like, it sets your makeup down really well, but it doesn't look like cakey. It doesn't look too like heavy and cakey. Like, I feel like it's noticeable on the skin, definitely, but I have quite low standards when it comes to powders though, because everything looks so bad on me. So I feel like in comparison it's got a nice finish, but under the eyes I found that it looked a bit cakey and not so nice, but outer parts of my face, it works okay. The powder that I used under my eyes today is the Kiko Invisible Touch Face Fixing Powder, which first of all has the weirdest packaging ever. I don't really like the packaging. It's like, it's got this attached to the lid and it's just a whole thing. And you know, for a minute I thought I liked this powder, but what I've realised is that it oxidizes your base makeup so badly, and I really don't understand it. So I thought, oh, maybe it's because like the brushes that I'm using have got like other colours on them or something. So I proper cleaned off my under eye setting brush today and made sure there was nothing on it. And then I even put like the powder into a different lid in case, you know, there was something on this or something, like some other colour had gotten in it. And it's literally a white translucent powder, so I don't know how the hell it manages to do this, but I put it on and it's like an orange like veil just appears out of nowhere. And like, I don't understand it. I also feel like it takes away a bit of the coverage of your base makeup. I found that, like, obviously I had super good coverage going on because I had the Kiko foundation and the Jouer concealer on. And then like, I just feel like once I'd set it, I could sort of see like my under eye bag coming through when it wasn't there before. So I also feel like it does take away the coverage a bit of your makeup. I mean, it doesn't look terrible on the skin or anything. Like, the finish there's definitely worse finishing powders out there, but I just feel like the oxidization thing and the taking away of the coverage thing, it just kind of kills it for me with this powder. It's just nah. And I'm not gonna lie about these last two powders, I've pretty much not used them since I brought them, so I've got nothing like updated to say in these. But the thing is, if a powder's too dark for me, I'm just not gonna use it because I don't want to like go out with a powder that's too dark for me because I'm going to look like a different colour. So the first one was the Maybelline Shine Proof Powder Concealer Perfect in 01. Obviously it's the lightest shade, and in my video I did say that I actually quite liked the formula of it. But obviously I can't say anything different because I only tried it that one time. But it's just the colour's it's just too dark for me, and I can't get away with it. But if you can find the shade of this, I'd give it a go because I remember in my first impressions I actually quite liked the finish. The other one was the Body Shop All-in-One Face Base in 02, which again I think this is the lighter shade. To be fair, it's a little bit lighter than the Milani one, but it's still just it's just too dark for me. And in that video I said I didn't really like the finish of it either, so meh. Nothing updated to say in these. These powders were just not for me. So the best out of a bad bunch I'd say is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop, but I still have some issues with this. So moving on to bronzer, this went very well for me, and still continuing to go really well with the bronzers I'm finding this year. So the first one that I tried in my January first impressions was the MUA Bronzed Matte Bronzing Powder in the shade Solar 100. I've got a few different shades of this. I don't know like how good their shade range is because obviously I've only got my skin to, you know, judge it on. I don't know how deep it goes. I did also try to get one of the shimmery ones, but it arrived broken. But this shade is perfect for my pale skin tone. I have got this one on today. It's just like this kind of lovely like caramel, rich caramel colour, but it doesn't look orange and it doesn't look too dark on me. It's just like a beautiful shade. It's also like, it shows up obviously, but it's not too pigmented, which I like. It's just very easy to work with and very easy to blend. It's just literally like a foolproof bronzer. Like, totally get this because it is literally like £2.50 I think. Like, how is a £2.50 bronzer so good? I don't understand. And then the other one I tried, which I also really like, is the Body Shop bronzing powder in the shade 01. I will say this one is slightly less pigmented than the MUA one. In some ways that's a good thing because I generally don't like my bronzers to be too pigmented because I don't want it to look harsh on my face. And this is just a very natural looking bronzer. Obviously it works amazing for my skin tone. Again, I'm not sure what the shade range is like with these, but this is a really good one for fair skin. Again, blends lovely, formula's really nice, but if you're the kind of person that likes a really heavy bronze look, I don't know if you'd like this because it is quite like a natural sort of formula, but I personally love both of these bronzers. I think they're really nice. Definitely a good 2 months for bronzer. So moving on to highlighter. First, I will just say that the 2 highlighters that I tried in my testing Kiko video, I did like a makeup declutter like not long after I filmed that, and I did throw those 2 away just because I remember I didn't like them at all in that video, and I didn't see the point in keeping them. I just found that they didn't show up very well, and I mean I'm more into natural highlighters recently, but that was just kind of taking the piss a bit. It just didn't really show up very well at all, so I would avoid those 2. Kiko highlighters, not sure of the name off the top of my head, but I'll put a little caption or a picture here of what those 2 were, and obviously you can watch the video where I tried them. But I've got 3 other highlighter products to talk about here, so I'll start with this one that I tried in my February first impressions, and this is such a confusing product, and I still don't really know what my final opinion is on this, even though I've tried it consistently throughout the like last 2 months. So this is from Beauty Bay. This is the Living My Best Light Ethereal Highlighter Palette. There's a few different like versions of it in different shades, and colours look like this, very holographic, and there's just something weird about the formula of these. I feel like they're quite sheer looking, which on some days like I'd put it on and I wouldn't mind how it looked because I have been going for a more sort of like subdued highlighter look recently. But you know, something really weird happened today. So I was using the shade up here called First Frost, and I put a brush in it. And then after I'd used it, like the pan just went so weird. Like it's almost turned into this sort of like clay consistency where it's like really mushy. I don't know if you can see me like moving my fingers around in it, but it's like Play-Doh. It's so weird, and like it's not really like a lot of, I mean there's a bit of pigment coming off it, but it's so weird. It's like gone from a powder to like clay. Like what is going on with this? Like it's so weird. I mean, the other 3 haven't done that, to be fair, but I mean, I don't know if they're gonna do that eventually, but like, that is weird, and I don't really like it, if I'm honest. I just find something off about the formula of these. Like, they're not super pigmented, and there's just something weird about the texture of these. It's definitely not my favourite highlighter palette. It's not super pigmented, and yeah, I'm more into natural highlighters, but I still feel like I want a bit more than what this gives. So I don't know if this is just like a formula inconsistency with this shade. Maybe the darker ones are a bit better in formula, but or maybe I just got like a dud palette. Like, is this some like, have I just been given like a trial palette or something? Because this is weird. Either way, like I don't think I'm gonna hold on to this one much longer. I don't love it, to be honest. It's just a bit, it's just weird. It is weird. It's a weird highlighter product. That is how I describe it. The other 2 highlighters I've got are both from Essence. I've got Glazed Donut on today. It's the it's literally just called the Glazed Donut highlighter from Essence. I actually quite like this one. Again, it is a more natural highlighter. It's not super blinding. Like, it's got a decent amount of pigment to it, like definitely, but it's more of a natural kind of highlighter that meshes into your skin tone really nicely. This is obviously a pale skin shade, so I'm just talking about my skin tone here. Like, I quite like it, but it's just not, you know, if I'm wanting something super blinding, if I'm wanting something like a bit more pigmented, then I've definitely got other highlighters that I'd want to reach for over this one, but it's nice. I have used it quite a bit. It's just a very natural highlighter sort of thing I'd want to use like every day when I don't want to look super, you know, glowy, but it's nice. I wouldn't say run out of your house and get this though. It's just kind of like, it's a bit average really. Like, it's nice. I have better highlighters though. I feel like I like the palette a little bit better. This is the Essence Go for the Glow highlighter palette in 01 The Cools. Again, they have a few different colour versions of this, and you know, this has got some quite interesting shades like the blue and the pink, you know, not shades I'd normally go for. Again, they have a similar sort of formula in that they're very kind of natural, mesh into the skin really nicely. Obviously these two colours are a bit extra, so I wouldn't want to wear those too regularly, but I mean, it's a nice enough highlight palette. I just feel like the kind of same thing. They're alright, but meh. Not discovered a new favourite highlighter in January or February really. Okay, so next I will talk about eyebrows. I did try a few different brow products in January and February. One that I would avoid getting is the Body Shop Brow Sculpt 3-in-1 Contouring Brow Pen. To be fair, the pencil isn't actually too bad on this. Like, it works reasonably well to fill in the brows. It's not my favourite, but it works alright because it's quite natural and it's not going to come out too harsh or blocky, which I quite like. The gel, however, was just too much excess on the wand for a start off, which I hate. That's my pet peeve. I actually tried to cut the wand in half because I prefer brushes that are like smaller than this, but it kind of failed, so it's now kind of just like a weird dent in it from where I tried to cut it in half. But the one that's just like too long, like, it just looks splodgy. It doesn't look nice. I don't like the gel on this. It's just not for me. I mean, the pencil is decent, but I feel like it's not good enough to the point where I would overlook the bad gel. So if you're getting something from the Body Shop, I would say don't get this. From Kiko, I got their Eyebrow Fibers Coloured Mascara in 05, and I also got their Precision Eyebrow Pencil in 02, and I actually really like the eyebrow pencil. Even though it's not a micro brow pencil, it kind of is though, because it's so thin. Like, it's like so thin. It's much thinner than pencils that normally have this sort of, you know, like the kind of wooden ones. So it's really great for kind of getting in intricately to parts of your brows. I mean, I like to just put gel on and then fill in with the pencil further, and this pencil works absolutely perfectly for that. I have got the pencil and the Kiko gel on today in my brows, and I'm pretty happy. They look quite natural, which is what I'm going for. Yeah, I really like the eyebrow pencil. Gel I like too. My one issue with this is the brush. Like, the formula of it's so good, and it also doesn't pick up too much excess, which I like. There is a bit of excess on it, definitely, but it's a lot better than that Body Shop one. I don't love this brush shape, if I'm honest. I can get it to work, like, if I'm just like careful, but yeah, it's better than the Body Shop one, I'd say. Still not my ideal, like, kind of brow format, but... And then the last thing I tried in my January first impressions was the Essence Superlast Eyebrow Pomade Pencil in dark brown. And the way I like to use this is I'll, like, brush through my brows with a clear gel first, or a spoolie, and then I'll fill them in with this, and it gives, like, a quite, like, natural looking brow. It works really well for that, but I don't really like it for touching up because I feel like it's just a bit too thick for that. You know, it is thicker than like the micro brow pencils, so I like it that way, but I feel like more often I will use a gel and then fill in with a like micro sort of pencil, or that Kiko one for example. So it's not like my favourite, but I feel like it does work well because it's quite natural looking, doesn't look too harsh. It's a pretty good brow pencil if you're into brow pencils. Okay, so next I'll talk about eyeliner pencils. So my favourite eyeliner pencil that I tried would be the Kiko Everlasting Kajal in 01. It's the black one, obviously. This is a really good little eyeliner. It's super pigmented. I've got this one on in my waterlines today. So creamy. Haven't had any issues sharpening it. And it also, yeah, it stays on your eyes, which is great. So this is pretty good. I really like this eyeliner, definitely would recommend it. The other two I tried were twisty up ones. So I've got the Body Shop Velvet Gel Pen Eyeliner, the black one. And then I also got the B Kohl Liner, which again is the black one. These, they show up pretty well. The pigment is decent, definitely. Both of these I don't find last super long. I feel like they are they're not completely gone, but they're like looking very like patchy and faded by the end of the day. The Kiko one lasts better. And these, the Kiko one obviously has a nicer formula. Because these are twisty up ones, they're never going to be like super like creamy, but I've got twisty up ones that I like the formula of better than these, like the Revlon one for example, the Gosh Ultimate one. So again, these are quite average. Like, I like them, they do the job, they show up in my waterlines, give me some drama, but they're not the longest lasting and they're not the nicest to apply. Like they could be smoother, they could be more creamy. Okay, so moving on to mascaras. So I'll talk about the two Essence ones first. So the one that I've used the most is definitely the Essence Lash Princess Sculpted Volume Mascara. This is really good. It does have some really good volume, definitely. My only issue with this one is that it's a little bit smudgy. I mean, it's alright on the top lashes, but I find when I put it on my bottom lashes, it just smudges very easily, and then it's kind of hard to get off with a cotton pad afterwards. It kind of just, instead of just coming off, it kind of smudges, which some mascaras do that, but I've definitely found mascaras that don't do that. So I don't love this on bottom lashes, but I do think it's really nice on top lashes. It's definitely got some really nice volume, definitely. The other Essence one I tried was the False Lashes Mascara, Extreme Volume and Curl. And to be honest, I've not used this one a lot, just because even though I said I liked it in my first impressions, I just find that the more I used it, I just feel like it looked clumpy, but like not in a good way. Like I like clumpy mascara to an extent, but this one I just found like it was sticking my lashes together. And it was just looking like, it just didn't look particularly flattering. Like, it had volume, definitely, but I just found that it was just clumping my lashes together, even too much for me, who likes really thick lashes. So, I don't know, there was just something a little bit off about the way this one was looking on me, so I'd definitely go for the Lash Princess over this one. I know Essence has got loads of really good mascaras, so I'd probably suggest trying one of their other ones over this, False Lashes one. I had the same sort of issue with this Kiko one in that it was really smudgy, and I found the times that I used this never normally happens to me, but like I would go home at the end of the day from like work or something, and I'd look and there'd be like mascara smudges all up here on my eyes, just smudges of mascara, and that never normally happens to me. There's just something about the formula of this one. It'd help if I told you what it is. This is the Kiko Standout Volume Buildable Mascara, which I feel like a lot of people really like this, but for me, it does have decent volume, but I found way better volumizing mascaras than this. And again, I had the same issue where I didn't like it on bottom lashes. First of all, the wand is not really intricate enough to get in there well without kind of getting it everywhere. And it just kind of had the same thing as the Essence one, where it's kind of hard to get off. It just kind of looks, it smudges instead of coming off easily. And yeah, and I'd come home at the end of the day and there's like mascara smudges up here, and that never happens to me normally. Not my fave. Like, the volume's nice, like it's okay, but too smudgy for my liking. By far my favourite mascara that I tried, however, in January and February would definitely be the Body Shop one. This is the Body Shop Lash Hero Fiber Extension Mascara. This is definitely the best one that I tried. The only problem I have with this is because it's double-ended. It takes a lot longer to apply, so I need to get ready fast. Sometimes I do need to get ready fast, so this isn't the one I'll reach for, but a lot of the times I do have time to spend, so I will happily reach for this. So yeah, only downside to this is that it takes a bit longer than your average mascara, but the effect of it is just so much nicer. Like, I have this one on my eyelashes today, which, to be fair, I've got so much going on in my eyes that it's kind of retracting a bit from my eyelashes. Yeah, super volumizing. I feel like mine's starting to kind of dry up a bit now, so it's not in its prime. Yeah, super volumizing, looks super dramatic, and just everything that I want a mascara to do, to just look super dramatic, to give me lashes some length and some volume. It definitely does that. So really nice mascara, would recommend this one. But obviously, if you need to get ready in like a very short amount of time, maybe not. So moving on to eyeshadow. So I tried the Coloured Rain Vivid Pigments and Shadows palette, which is beautiful, like this packaging. And I've used this a few times over the last couple months. And obviously I've used a lot of the shades today, and this is kind of the best that I've gotten it to, because it is a pigment palette, it's kind of meant more so for people that are a bit more skilled with makeup, because pigments aren't always the easiest to blend, but I feel like I actually kind of managed to sort of pull it off today and nothing went muddy or patchy or weird, so it can be done. You just need to practice with it. I think that's the thing with this palette. It's definitely one of those palettes where you're gonna need to play around with it a bit, you're gonna need to practice with it, but in the end you can make a pretty cool, vibrant look with it. The pigment is insane, the pigmentation is amazing. The only problem I have with this is it's a bit difficult to blend, and the pigment is to the point where it does kind of stain a bit, so be wary of that. But I mean, I don't really care that much. I don't care about my skin. It's a palette you're gonna need to practice with, but I mean, I feel like that's kind of the fun of makeup anyway, is building your skill with things. So I feel like just using it today this time has made me kind of really like it a lot more, because I've actually kind of managed to get a decent look out of it for once. So yeah, obviously it's got an amazing colour scheme, beautiful bright colours, pigmentation is insane. Don't give up on it if you're kind of struggling. The first few times using it, you just gotta give it a chance. So I did try a couple NYX glitters, and I haven't actually used those since, so I've not really got anything updated to say about them. I mean, they're just glitters, what more can I say? But the Kiko eyeshadow that I used in my Kiko video, this is the Glitter Shower eyeshadow. This one's 02, this is the rose gold one. I did actually put a bit of that on the centre part of my lid today. And I absolutely adore these. They're beautiful, they are so pigmented, and the shimmer in them is amazing, and I will definitely at some point pick up the other shades of these, because I think that they are so good, and they're obviously really cheap as well. So I definitely would recommend trying these. Pigmentation is really good. So yeah, these little glitter showers, really nice. We'll get some more of those at some point. And then last but not least, lip products. I'd say the one that I've reached for the most is the Kiko lipstick. This is the Sparkling Holiday Matte Lipstick in 01, which last time I went on the Kiko website, this wasn't there anymore. Kind of annoys me about Kiko, they have too many limited edition things and then they get rid of things, but I feel like the other lipsticks must have a similar sort of formula to this, but it's like very like matte but very creamy at the same time. The shade of this is a beautiful nude for my skin tone. I have got this one on today, although I did layer something on over the top of it. Yeah, I've reached for this one a lot. I would just pop this on for work all the time. It's a really nice creamy bullet lipstick. I did also go in with one of the NYX metallic soft matte lip creams over the top, which to be fair I actually quite like how it turned out. But yeah, I did buy the little gift set that had all of the little minis of the soft matte metallic lip creams, which again, to be honest, I've not really reached them a lot because there's a lot of really like out there colours in there, and it's just not the sort of thing that I'm gonna reach for a lot, so I don't really have anything new to say on those. My thoughts are the same as in the testing NYX video. I really like the NYX Suede, so I've got this one in the shade Dainty, and then I think the other one was called Munchies. Oh wait, yeah, I got it here. So this one is in more, okay, lid's gone, cool toned, grungy, Max Stone-esque shade, and this one's a more pinky nude. Really nice formula again, kind of similar to the Kiko one, smooth, creamy. These ones are a little bit less matte. I find the Kiko one has a bit more of a matte formula, which I do prefer for longevity reasons, but these are still really nice bullet lipsticks. Definitely would recommend them. And the last lip product that I got was the Body Shop, what is this? I think it's called Colour Crush. The Colour Crush lipstick in 001 Boston Astable. Which again is like a really kind of nudie colour. This is probably my least favourite of the bunch of bullets that I've just mentioned, just because it's a little bit more sheer, a little bit more kind of glossy in formula, a bit more lip balm-esque than it is matte, which I want something that is a bit more matte because I want it to kind of stay on my lips a bit longer. This one doesn't have the best longevity factor. It's nice, like, it's pretty creamy, like it's actually really creamy. It's a nice lipstick, definitely, nothing against it, but just if you're looking for something quite matte, it's not that, but it's alright. Anyway, I really just want to stop talking now. That is all of my thoughts on the makeup products that I've tried in January and February. So obviously some hits, some misses, and a lot of kind of in the middle average products that we tried. Definitely a mixed bunch, which I feel like makes it more interesting. So obviously I've already done all of my March videos, so I did a first impressions, I did a testing revolution, a testing technique, God knows which ones are actually up, and I did a cohorted one as well. And I've just realised I didn't mention any of the products that I tried in my February cohorted, but I don't really have much to say on them, so whatever. So I'm going to try and film the March makeup roundup recap video soon, like a week or 2 weeks after this one. I'll try and get it up as soon as I can. Obviously I still need to try out the products a bit more for some of them. Slowly but surely getting this channel back on track. is what I want to do. But anyway, that is all I've got to say on those makeup products. So thank you for watching this, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.